Okay, well, now first of all, this summer, this is mainly about this summer, we'll be doing the regular English classes that we have, and this time for the Chinese, classical Chinese, we're using my book here about 50 Tang poems, so talks about each poem. And so if a student knows no Chinese at all, they can come and enjoy this. Now the reason I chose Tang poetry is because this is the way with the absolute minimum of knowledge you can appreciate some of the greatest works in literature. So now, with regard to, and then of course we have the other things. Oh, and the U.S. history as well. The U.S. history is very good. But of course we can't cover it all in one summer. We're up to the progressive age now. So just about to start, just got into Teddy Roosevelt. Now, with regard to embracing the challenge, what happened was, I have some students who work very hard, and they do their tasks as they're assigned. They do what they're supposed to do, and they fill out all the forms and everything. But whenever something happens that throws them off, they seem to be simply out of, like lost at sea. And it occurred to me that what happens is there are two fundamental attitudes toward work and toward life in general. And one is to avoid problems, right? Avoid any difficulties. That's one strategy. The other strategy is to welcome it and to embrace it and to actually enjoy it, to find happiness in it and to find success in it. And it reminded me when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a logistics officer. I was responsible for supply mainly. And there was a fellow I met there who said he never took over a good account and he never left a bad account. In other words, this guy was what we call a troubleshooter. Whenever there was a problem, they would call this guy. And he would come in and he would fix the problem and then he would go somewhere else because everybody's got problems, okay? So this was somebody whose job it was to clean up other people's messes, okay? Whenever they got in trouble, it's like when you do troubleshooting on your computer, right? What do you do when you can't fix it yourself? You go to somebody who can. Oh, by the way, what do you call the Geek Squad? They're great. You don't have to pay. I was amazed, but I needed their help, and they were able to fix it for me. And these are people whose job it is to try to work things out for other people. See? So now, it was very rather upsetting when I encountered a student recently who wanted to avoid any sort of difficulty or challenging environment to do, I hate to say it, but the minimum necessary. The minimum necessary to get by. Just thought, well, if you just go do everything by the numbers, then you'll be fine, right? This is not going to be a good long-term strategy. You might find a job, okay? But if you want to be able to rise to the level where you're going to have a job that you enjoy doing every day, you must, as I say, embrace the challenge. You have to welcome it, okay? If something comes up and there's a problem there, you should really challenge yourself to figure it out. Do it yourself, okay? And enjoy it, okay? This sometimes is the hardest thing to convince a person to do, and that is to enjoy the challenges that you have in your life, right? They can be enjoyable. It's like some kids think they don't like to do essays, right? So I ask them, is it possible to enjoy writing an essay? Well, then they admit that it is theoretically possible to enjoy writing an essay. I say, well, so for example, very often there will be a student there who does actually enjoy writing essays, okay? And so you say, well, now, if this person enjoys it, why can't you? Well, actually, I could enjoy it. They could enjoy it, but they just don't. Well, why is that? Okay? What is it about an essay that seems so unenjoyable? Well, it's supposed to be boring. Okay. Now, people in my class generally know that the use of the B word is, is punishable by whatever I can muster that particular day. Life should never be boring, okay? Boredom is the penance of the proud and lazy mind. In other words, people are either too proud to think that a certain course is interesting. Let's say they don't like the teacher, okay? Then what they do is they think they're punishing the teacher by not learning the material, okay? Okay, they're the ones that are going to be left holding the bag later on. Or they're simply lazy. And so you ask people, are you ever bored? Well, yes, I'm often bored. Well, do you enjoy being bored? Well, no, I don't like being bored. Well, then why do you do it? Well, I can't help it. Incorrect. Everyone has the opportunity to banish boredom, okay? It takes a little bit of energy. You use what's known as your imagination, okay? And let's say, for example, there is an annoying teacher who drones on, and you really don't like the class, and you don't like the person, and you think that you know it all already, then challenge yourself. Find some way of making that thing interesting for you. Because of all the challenges that you'll have in your life, physical challenges, can you lift it, right? Intellectual challenges, can you figure this out? And emotional challenges, the emotional are the most difficult. So what people need to do is find the key to get them to move. For example, it's like a vacuum cleaner, right? If it's not turned on, you know, it's very difficult to push the dust into a vacuum cleaner. But once you turn it on, it'll suck up everything in the area. So this is the key factor. It's not so much that you go to a class or you don't go to a class. The key thing is the attitude that you have wherever you happen to be, okay? And another example is two people can be watching the exact same thing at the same time next to each other. One person thinks it's the most fascinating thing they've ever seen. They are very thought-provoking, they learn a million things, and they have a million questions. The other person standing right next to them, or sitting right next to them, is absolutely bored, numb with boredom. This is not a function of the environment, this is a function of the individual. The individual lacks the spark to find what's fascinating in life, okay? And this is the key challenge that I find that we have these days, is the kids, and you can't do it for them. A lot of parents think that, you know, they somehow, if they worry enough, then the kid will be a better student and he'll go to Harvard and become a genius or something. That doesn't work. It has to be the kid, okay? The kid has to be the person who somehow can fan this spark into a flame and find every day of life, of their lives, fascinating. So that they really hate to go to bed because there's so much more stuff to do, stuff to learn, things to know, right? And questions to answer, okay? And once you can do that, then it's like a self-running engine. It will just go on indefinitely, okay? So that is the key challenge that we have, the challenge that the teachers have, is somehow to awaken in the students this desire to be fascinated by life in general, okay? And if, you know, when it works, it's magnificent, right? But once again, it's not something you can make them do. If they make up their minds, no, there's nothing you can say, oh, once I had a student, okay, what was it exactly she said? Well, the gist of it was, I don't know, and you can't make me. I don't know it, and you can't make me learn it. Well, there's something like that. Well, it's true. You can't make a person learn anything, okay? All you can do is demonstrate for them the possibilities, and then it's their choice. And they're left holding the bag in the end, okay? If, you know, and what you put in, that's what you're going to get out later on, okay? The stuff you put in that bag, that's what you're going to be holding at the end of the road. And if you get into a university, when I was at Stanford, we had people there who just didn't belong there. I don't know how they got in. Maybe their parents are rich or something, I don't know. But well, we had this one guy named Raleigh Steen. His father built a building. He paid for a building on campus, so he got in. But that's okay. If you're going to put a building up. I guess you deserve to go into the school. But the thing is, he didn't belong there, okay? He did not have that competitive, but it doesn't have to be obnoxiously competitive, but it's just the aching desire to know more stuff and to learn, to get ahead, to get moving, you see? So that I hear a lot of kids have stress, okay? There is a simple way to deal with stress, okay? It's a 3-step procedure, and once again, I learned this in the Marine Corps, strangely enough. It sounds like the simplest thing in the world, and I know you're going to think, oh, I can't believe I waited 2 minutes to hear this stuff. I could have figured that out myself. But believe it or not, this is the key to problem solving. Okay, number 1, you have a problem, you write it down. Actually, write it down. What exactly is the problem that you have? Okay, I don't have enough time to do all my homework, right? They're up till 2 a.m. doing homework, okay. Second thing is, list all of the possible alternatives you have. A, drop some classes. B, change schools. I mean, I know kids who go to what they call middle college, and actually they do pretty well there. C, do something else. You list them all, and don't stop after 1 or 2. Ask your friends, ask your parents. Say, how am I going to solve this here? And see what they say. Sometimes you get fascinatingly good answers or good solutions from people you never thought knew much, okay? And the third step, they're all important, but the third one is choose one of those plans of action and follow it. The one that will solve the problem at the least cost, and then follow it. Follow that plan of action. And then, it's remarkable. Once you are taking action, the stress reduction is almost immediate because you're doing something, okay? You try that plan. If that plan doesn't work, then you try something else until you solve the problem. But you don't just sit there and stew, okay? So, in a nutshell, the thing is that the kids need to do it themselves, okay? They're old enough. I've heard people say that after a child is 8 years old, you can't really change their character. I don't know if that's true or not. But this is the situation. It has to be generated from the kid, and actually, hopefully, if they're exposed to this sort of thing, they will pick it up. Some do, some don't, but what can you do, right? You just have to hope that they will realize and take ownership over their own intellectual futures, so that when they do apply for a place like Stanford or Harvard or MIT or something, that they know they deserve it, okay? Because they have done what's necessary to deserve to go there. Not to sneak in by some trick somebody teaches you on how to take a standardized test, but that you deserve it because you've put in the sweat equity into your own academic future. And right now, the U.S. is becoming the stupidest nation in the free world, okay? So you have got a huge field of opportunity, okay? So, y'all do well, and hope to see you this summer.